It is now 7 p.m. and I would like to call to order the regular meetings of the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, Victorville Redevelopment Agency, Victorville Water District, and City Council of the City of Victorville. And I'd like to welcome everyone here to our meeting tonight. I know it's cold out there, so thank you for having an interest in how your city works and operates, and thank you for being here. At this time, it is customary for this City Council to begin the meetings with an invocation, and tonight's invocation will be given by Bishop Murphy Hazel from the Greater Victory World Outreach Church, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by our Chief of Police, Captain Mark Taylor.
Good evening. God bless you. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you for this wonderful city governing body. And we ask you on tonight, oh God, to continue to remind us, oh God, that it's you that's in control of our lives. It's you that loves us, oh God. And I thank you so much, oh God, for your unity. I pray and decree continual unity over this city, oh God. I pray for your wisdom, oh God. I pray, oh God, that they'll continue, the men and women of this city, oh God, to move and govern themselves in the highest manner of integrity, oh God, that they will continue to honor you always, oh God. For you say if we acknowledge you in all our ways, that you would certainly direct our path, oh God. And God, I thank you also, God, for destroying the color barrier and the things that will hinder us from working together as men and women, oh God. I thank you, oh God, for every city council member, oh God. I thank you for the attorney, the clerk, oh God, our honorable mayor, oh God, and everyone that will assemble themselves here tonight, oh God. We are standing here, oh God, believing that you're going to do everything that you said that you were going to do in and through our lives. And even with the economy, oh God, and even as we prepare to do even greater things for you, we continue, oh God, to invoke your presence, your wisdom, and your understanding. And as we prepare even for this Yuletide season, meet every need of every individual under the sound of my voice. And we believe all of this is done. In the matchless name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we have two presentations, and the first presentation is our military banner program, a program that we're very proud of in recognizing the military personnel of our nation. So Councilman Mike Rothschild will do the presentations.
Thank you. As we've done since we began this program, in this case we actually have two separate ones. I'm going to go ahead and do the one that was given to us just a few days ago. This was a flag that is brought back from Iraq and freedom, code word, freedom, Iraqi freedom. And it flew in combat for one mission there, and then they brought it back to the city. And this is from the Task Force Sierra Delta 1 compound in Baghdad, Iraq, on the first day of September 2008. And that was presented to us by Lieutenant Giovanni Galanti. He flew the flag over Baghdad in September here, and the date that we've got. This will certify this, and we're very proud of this. We'll find a place in our City Hall to have this displayed, as we have on the other flag that's up there, signed by one of the combat groups there. So with that, I thank that gentleman. He couldn't be here this evening, but I said we'd present that to him as well. The ones we've got now are from our local citizens that are going off to Iraq. And the first presentation is Kerry A. Williams, Army, graduated from Sultana in 2004, and his father, Robert Williams, will be here accepting that one. Robert?
I'm just grateful that I have a family member that is willing to put forth her life to take care of what we deem necessary for our country and our freedom. Thank you.
Our second one is for Paul Carranza. He's a Marine. He graduated in 2007 from Silverado, and his mother, Susan Garcia, will be accepting.
Thank you very much. I just thank you for supporting our troops. We're very proud of them.
And the third one is for Joe Zaccaro. Much to my, I know he's been very involved in all this thing, but Joe's going off, and maybe he'd mention where he might be going. That's very interesting too. Joe, one of our firemen. Wait a minute.
I don't think that it hit me until now. Absolutely proud of you. Everybody for being here for him. Without that mentality, I don't think anybody, are we good? Okay. I don't think anybody could take on this responsibility. So I thank you for his support and there for him, his friends, employers, and mostly just in front of everybody. I want you to know how proud I am.
Well, as the city employee, deputy fire marshal, it's important to know that I do have the city family behind me and all of my friends and coworkers and the staff. My wife is behind me 100%. I'll be going to Africa and the Middle East, Operation Enduring Freedom. As a combat photographer, my job is to take pictures of all the rest of the people that are over there. All the missions that we do, combat missions, search and rescue, humanitarian aid, whatever's going on. So hopefully the pictures you see in the paper will be mine. Just look for my name in there. Otherwise, and we send them out to the Pentagon, and then they go off. They get disseminated from there. So I will be out there for approximately 3 months. Thank you very much.
Good luck, Joe. We now have another presentation. These are the winners of the 2008 Victorville Recycles Week contest, and Dana Armstrong.
Turned it
Are we-
off. I think. Hope you heard about everything wrong.
Hello? There we go. Thank you, Mayor Cabriales. I am here tonight to recognize the winners of our Victorville Recycles Week event. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Victorville Recycles Week was organized by the City of Victorville Recycling Program and took place between November 3rd and November 7th. It is intended to increase the awareness of and participation in the city's various recycling programs. Our focus is on getting our local schools involved. This was the second year that we've organized Victorville Recycles Week. This year we had 25 schools participate. Some of the activities included a poster contest, a recycled sculpture contest, recycling drives, in-class presentations, and tours of our materials recovery facility. All told, we gave tours to about 1,900 students. 42 buses full through our materials recovery facility, and we did in-class presentations for about 1,300 students. We had wonderful coverage in the media for Victorville Recycles Week. It began with a story in the Daily Press. Thank you very much. From there, K-Frog Radio picked up the story, and then they dedicated their Frogmen in the Morning TV segment on NBC News Channel 4 for the Los Angeles region on Thursday, November 6th. So we were region-wide with coverage of Victorville Recycles Week. At this point, I would like to invite Mr. Mike Aragon, and Vice President for Burtech Waste Industries, and Mr. Jimmy Tatosian, Manager of Community Relations for Burtech, to come forward. Our local hauling company, Victorville Disposal, which picks up our trash and recyclables in Victorville, Victorville Disposal is a Burtech Waste Industries company. Burtech has been a great supporter of Victorville Recycles Week both last year and this year, and they generously donated the prizes for the first place school, the poster contest winner, and the sculpture contest winner. Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite our winners up. We're going to do this in some groups here. First, I would like to invite representatives from Cobalt Middle School. Here tonight, I believe, are Julie Provençal, Cheryl Pruitt, and Principal Lonnie Keeler. If they could come forward. I'm going to give you a certificate in a moment, but first I want to tell people about what you did. Cobalt Middle School was our top points winner for Victorville Recycles Week. They participated in all sorts of activities. You could not and still cannot escape the recycling message at Cobalt Middle School. It was really fantastic. We have a certificate from the city recognizing Cobalt Middle School as the top points winner, and I'd like to present that to Principal. Oh, oops, let's reposition. And we would also like to have Burtech at this time present the check. This is a check for $500. Oh, wait. Thank you. And stay up here, if you would. We're going to bring the other groups up. We'll make room. Yeah, maybe move over to the side there. That's great. Okay. Next, I would like to invite Miss Sierra Dunkley to come forward. There she is. Wonderful. Sierra is a fourth grader at, let me get the name correct here, the Academy of the Performing Arts and Foreign Language Elementary School in Victorville. Out of almost 900 entries, we picked Sierra's poster as the winner in our poster contest. So let me give you this certificate. We'll have Burtech present the check. This is a $250 check to the winner of the poster contest. Wonderful. No, stay up here. We're going to get one final group shot. All right, and how about if you move over here, Sierra? That's good. Great. Sorry, I didn't choreograph this perfectly. All right, and then finally we have the winners of the sculpture contest. I think most of the students are here. I saw several of them, so I'm going to call everybody up, and those who are here, come on up. Marissa Perry, Milandeep Singh, Monica Atia, and Brittany Laza, if they could come forward. All right. You're going to have to remind me. Marissa. Okay. How about if we do. You're Brittany. Sorry. There you go. All right, let's. Thank you. And then Burtek will present the check for the grand prize winner of the sculpture contest. And this is actually made out to the school. So for UPrep High School, as part of these students are part of they work together on their sculpture, and they're part of the ASB student leadership group. We had over 50 sculptures that we had to go through, and their sculpture was called Recycle Road, and it's now on display at the Mall of Victor Valley. So. Moving too soon. All right, and if you could maybe come over here, and we'll have one final group shot. And then I'm almost done, City Council. Thank you. Close ranks, students. And there you go. All right. Well, thank you once again to the schools, the students, the faculty, and the staff for your participation in Victorville Recycles Week. Thank you for your help with spreading the word about the importance of recycling. And thank you very much to Burtek and Victorville Disposal for their sponsorship of Victorville Recycles Week. If you are interested in viewing the winning poster, the winning sculpture, plus some of the honorable mention sculptures, they are on display at the Mall of Victor Valley for the entire month of December. And just I'd like to ask if we could give a final round of applause to our winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana, and thanks to all the recipients. And also special thanks to Jimmy and Mike from Burtek. Thank you. The first item of business on the agenda for all of the agencies is what we refer to as the public comment period. Public comment is that opportunity afforded by state law to anyone who wishes to address the City Council or in this capacity as the other agencies which have been identified on any subject that is within the area, responsibility, or jurisdiction of the City Council. Public comment is not something the Council can be prepared for. The Council does not know the subject matter, what the subject matter might be. The Council does not respond to public comment. If you are going to speak at public comment or on any other agenda item, we will ask you will fill out one of the white cards that are available in the foyer. That will give the Council the contact information that is necessary so that we may communicate with you if necessary. Schedule your item for discussion so we can schedule your item for discussion on a future Council agenda, if that is what is going to be done. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes, and at this time, I will open the public comment section, and we have 2 cards. I'll take them in the order that I received them. One is from David Desmond. Mr. David Desmond.
Thank you, Mayor Calabrese. This was short notice. I read the newspaper, and a fireman like yourself, I threw my clothes on and ran over here in about 15 minutes. I want to give you, from my life experiences, how I feel about what I call PLAs, or project labor agreements, and the union building trades. I'm disabled from the heat and frost asbestos workers and the IBW. I worked over here at George Air Force Base before I got disabled, and I want to tell you that job was 100% safety. We got great training, both environmentally. people that never got exposed to military history got to learn about the history of George Air Force Base. It was a fantastic experience, and I didn't see any unsafe practices. I didn't see the old-time the rhetoric that you hear of beer cans in the parking lot and people sitting on buckets and abusing their rights as a union construction worker. I just thought it was a well-run job. And when I read about the Dr. Pepper Schnapple plant, although I'm not here to influence anything, I just want to tell you people that even in these bad economic times, not to be afraid of PLAs when they're necessary. And this is not against competitors that are not union, that have a different point of view. I believe in raising wages to where we can have a middle class that could afford to feed our families, to afford to have a private health care other than the federal government or the state level. And I believe they're good. I believe they're well thought out, and I don't think they're anti-business. I think that they can help. It may not happen in this case because I don't know any of the details of what's going on with that plant. But in the future, I just want to tell you, they've helped my family. There's abuses in everything, and I know the building trades are working extremely hard with a 5-year apprenticeship that I invite any to go to any union apprenticeship program and just spend a day and watch the training they go through after putting in an 8-hour day. And it's nothing against the competitors, which is called the Associated Builders, and ABC is what they're called. But I'd like to see them raise their standards to where there's more of a level playing field because there's no foreign competitors involved. And again, I just think it's a part of America that we shouldn't be lowering the bar, that we should be just keeping it at a fair level where people can live the American dream. And construction workers, these are 100-year-old organizations, and they get a lot of bad press when they get the union boss that takes off with the money.
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. I now have Dorothy Miller.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I believe you have in front of you the water bill and my trash bill. The trash bill, I finally got a 2-month bill, which catches me up to this month. The water bill is still behind. And you look at the dates on there, on the bill. Something is wrong. We need to get together and get this bill out right. We should take and go back to Victor Valley, let them do theirs, Baldy Mesa do theirs. At least we got our bills and got them on time. Right now, we're not. The other thing I have a problem with, we were told by the city manager that we had a hiring freeze. Well, it seems like we have hired quite a few people since this hiring freeze. Now, what is really going on? Many people will sit back and say, oh, I'm just new, I don't know. It took me 45 minutes today when I called in to try to tell them what they're doing wrong on the water bill. 45 minutes on the phone before anybody answered it. It was just the music and on and on and on and on. This is not right. This is the city. We should be getting answers, and we should get things done. And if we can't get them done, then we better get somebody in here that can get things done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. And this item will, I believe, Carol Lee, you're going to take care of this?
Yes, yes. I'll speak to Ms. Miller about that.
I have Priscilla Lucero.
The thing is, I have the same issue with the water company. I notified them. Came up to the office and I talked to them, and I asked them, why is my bill being doubled for the next month? And she told me that since that you guys merged together with the trash and all that, then you guys decided to, when you guys didn't send out the bills or whatever from that 1 month, that you guys gained it all together. And at the same day, when I went back home, I had talked to the water meter guy, because I asked the water meter guy, what's going on with the water, because my bill is outrageous. I've never had a water bill this big ever, the time I've lived in Victorville. And it's really extreme. And I asked him, what's going on? Is the water meters not getting read right or what? He said, for 1 year, this city decided not to come and go to everybody's everybody's meters. I said, why not? He says, well, what we did is the city had us do it from satellite, which it reads it from the truck. We don't have to get out of our trucks and read your meters no more. We drive by and we come to the nearest part of your area, and it picks up a signal and it tells us if the amount of your water bill is. And if there's a red flag and if the guy's not paying attention to it in the truck, that comes up and showing that there's something wrong at this place, then he should stop and take a look at it. Well, he says if this guy is in a hurry and he wants to get his job done fast enough, then he's just going to ignore the red flag and keep on going. So that's why you're getting your extreme water bill. And I asked him, I said, well, I've been cutting down on my water bill since this economy has gone really bad, and I'm not going to, I don't think anybody can afford a double payment. And everybody just throwing this out just because you guys merged together, and I don't think that's would have been right. You should have either sent us the bill or made us do it some other way besides throwing it all at once. Not at this time of economy. Anyway, I don't think anybody can afford a double payment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lucero. And once again, you get back to...
Yes, Ms. Lucero, if you would like to contact me at the city clerk's office, I'll discuss that with you and find out information.
At this time, we will start with the library board. And we do have we don't have any revisions.
There are no revisions.
No revisions. We do have the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, each and every consent calendar includes minutes from previous meetings, which I was not a part of. I would have to abstain from the entire consent calendar of each agency. So I'd request that the minutes be pulled from the consent calendar so they can be voted on separately.
Okay. Have a consensus on that? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Okay,
Oh,
let me get used to this.
Excuse me,
Okay.
I think I jumped ahead of you. Can we vote again on that?
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
There's new graphics up here somewhere.
Okay, now we can vote.
My apologies.
Okay. Now we have written communications. It's the election, the chairman and vice chairman for the Victorville Library Board of Trustees. I know Mr. Hunter was the chair, and well, I think,
Why don't we just leave it like where we have the mayor?
That's not going to work for all the committees, so.
well, for this one here, I think it would be fine. For some of the other ones, I think that would work okay, just to leave the mayor and the Mayor Pro Tem as the chair and vice chair.
Also move.
For a second? Okay. Vote. Motion passes.
Chairman Cabrialis, I believe we do need to still take a separate action on the minutes from the consent calendar. Those were pulled to be acted on separately,
Okay, so do the consent calendar.
with the exception of the minutes.
Move approval of the minutes.
Okay. There's a second?
Second.
Passes. And we'll now go into the Southern California Logistics Rail Authority. Are there any revisions to the agenda?
No revisions.
Again, we have the consent calendar, and we have approval of the minutes from the following meetings.
Move for approval?
Don't have our tally sheet up there, this screen up here.
It's on your screen here now, once I bring...
You're not going to show it up here?
No, it's not there anymore.
Again, on item number 4, we election of the chairman and the vice chairman, board of directors of the Southern California Logistics Rail Authority.
Move for Councilman Caldwell to be the chair and myself as the vice chair on that.
Or a second?
Second.
Motion passes.
By the way, the reason for that is that Mr. Caldwell served as the chair in both the rail and the airport authority throughout its existence. He's gone to almost everything and external, internal to this city, and as long as he's on the council, as far as I'm concerned, he ought to be sitting in that seat to make that continuity and that strength of where we've been and where we're going. Okay.
We now move into the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority agenda. Any revisions to the agenda?
No revisions.
Yeah, we do have the consent calendar.
Move for approval?
That includes that sublease agreement with Boeing.
Yeah.
Rothschild, I need a vote from you still.
Sorry.
Okay, the motion passes. Under written communications, we have item number 4, the request to approve a 5-year lease agreement with Tent Tanker, the air carrier for Hangar 867, and this is the aircraft that provides firefighting capabilities for our wildland fires.
For approval on that, and that includes 10 tankers, 910 and 911.
Okay.
Second.
Motion passes. We have a request to adopt the R2508 Joint Land Use Study.
This is a study that Peter Soderquist and I have been involved with for a couple of years now. It's rather complex. Most of it's done by a lot of very highly technical people in the land use issues out there in the greater desert, but it certainly has augmented us, and being a partner in this land use area has helped facilitate our having Lockheed here and still accommodating the test facilities out there in the greater range. Peter has anything to add to that, he can, but I would urge the council to adopt this land use study.
Second.
Rothschild, I need a vote from you.
The motion passes. We have item number 6, is request to approve the agreement regarding enforcement of owner participation agreement, OPA, by and among the Victorville Redevelopment Agency, the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, and Sterling Capital Properties, LLC.
Cabrialis, you have the companion item to this is item 6 on the RDA. You could take them both at the same time if you'd like.
Yes.
Item 4, sorry. Item 4 on the
4?
RDA.
Okay. We'll take both of them jointly. Do you have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion passes. We now have item number 7, which is election of the chairman and vice chairman for the Board of Directors of the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority.
Move Councilman Caldwell as the chair and myself as the vice chair on this board as well.
Second.
Passes. We do have a closed session item, item number 8. The Victorville Redevelopment Agency. Any revisions to the agenda?
No revisions.
Okay, again, we have the consent calendar.
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion passes. We already took care of item number 4. Item number 5, selection of chairman and vice chairman for the Board of Directors of the Victorville Redevelopment Agency.
For the mayor, him to be sitting vice chair.
Second.
Okay, the motion passes, and we do have a closed session, and at the end of the session, you will, the city attorney will discuss the closed sessions.
Correct. If there's any reportable action out of the closed session, we will come out and report such action. We're not sure at this point whether there will be any or not.
Victorville Water District agenda, revisions to the agenda,
No revisions.
consent calendar, again, approval of the minutes.
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion passes. Item number 4 is the election of chair and vice chair of the Victorville Water District. And I think we should go ahead and leave the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. Do you have a motion?
I'll second your motion.
Flip them. Okay, there we go.
Motion passes. We now go into the City of Victorville Council agenda. We've done the presentations, the public comment. Any revisions?
Yes, public hearing item number 4 is being requested to be continued to January 20th. And there are 2 consent calendar items that need to be removed. Those are items O and Q.
What items were those?
O and Q on the consent calendar.
Okay.
Item 9.
That it?
That's it.
Brialis, I'm asking for the removal of the consent calendar items. Some information has come to my attention regarding the release of these bonds, and I would like to look into it further and put it on a later agenda. So I'd ask that those 2 items be continued to a later agenda.
Okay, we do have a continued public hearings. Item number 3, the public hearing called to hear arguments for or against the nuisance abatement at Victorville Municipal Code 13.02.220, a property located at 15623 5th Street, Victorville, California.
Mayor Cabrialis, this is a continued hearing. This item has been before you on prior occasions, and it concerns this piece of property. You have a full staff report regarding the conditions and an update on the discussions with the property owners. I believe the lender to the property owner is here and would like to be heard. It's a public hearing item, so you should open the public hearing and take all comments before we discuss the matter further.
Will the owner please come forward and address the council?
You have a card on this item, I think.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Dan Algor.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I was here on the 16th of September regarding this property, and even though the agenda says arguments for or against the nuisance abatement, that's really not my purpose for being here. On the 24th of October of 2006, we made 2 loans on the subject property, did so based on public information provided by preliminary title report from a title company, which had nothing recorded by the city of Victorville against the property, be it a notice of pendency or administrative action by the city. There was just nothing recorded with the county of San Bernardino. There was nothing posted on the property to indicate that any action had been taken by the city, and we in good faith made loans on the property. Subsequent to that, we found out that the city, in fact, had an agreement with the previous owner to demolish the property. And so now here we are a couple of years later with the property apparently is going to be demolished, and it probably should be. But we have 2 loans on the property that at this point, to put it bluntly, we're hung out to dry on simply because constructive notice was not given by the city via recorded documentation. After the council meeting on the 16th of September, we were contacted by the city attorney's office, Roger Rees representing the city attorney's office. We subsequently had a conference call between our attorney, Jay Ward, myself, Jorge Duran, and Mr. Rees. And After that meeting, we, through our attorney, made an offer to the city through Roger Rees that we thought was a very fair offer to resolve the problem. And he subsequently, we made that offer on the 2nd of October. 27th of October, he got back to us and said the city was not interested in our offer. There was no money available. And we also requested a copy of the city's file on the property, which I have. Very well documented, by the way. In the city file, there's no mention of any offer to resolve the problem from us. It would appear to me that there's a lack of communication there someplace. But anyway, we have a money problem because we made a loan based on what we're supposed to use for proper information in the state of California, which is recorded documents, which is constructive notice. And we really, there was nothing recorded that would have told us not to make the loans, which we would not have made knowing that there was a demolition agreement on the property, obviously. We would like to get it resolved some way, and I know that we can't resolve it here or litigate it here, but we would like to have some way to have open negotiations in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. A response from the city attorney?
I would ask for any other comments and close the public hearing if possible.
Is there any comments? Any other comments? Yeah, at this time, we'll close the public hearing. Any?
Mayor Cabrialis, yes, our office has been in contact with the lenders, and we have also been in contact with code enforcement, and at this point, there was hope that we could arrive and make some progress on seeking a solution. But based on staff's recommendation, code enforcement, no progress has been made, so it's up to you whether you want to provide more time to try and come to some agreement or just proceed with the abatement proceedings. Staff's recommendation is to proceed with the abatement proceedings at this point because no progress has been made.
Question from council?
I have a question. I would be curious to know the response to the issue. Constructive notice, actual notice, and whether or not under these types of agreements to demolish, if there is a statutory requirement to record anything with the county recorder's office.
I'm not aware of anything. If you would like, we can look into that further and get you a full detailed memo on that, but I don't believe there's any obligation to record anything with respect to the demolition. The lender was lending as a rehabilitation loan, so they knew the condition of the property, which was one of the factual issues that was considered in terms of seeking some sort of solution here. So,
I would feel more comfortable with this matter being continued to find out. I mean, it's not clear to me whether there would be some duty, some statutory duty to post and or record, but I'd like those questions.
Okay. Is there a consensus to continue the item until we get the information that Mr. Caldwell wants?
And I think implicit in that would be my hope that staff would continue to discuss this matter with the appellant and see if there's some resolution that out short of
I would agree to that, but council needs to be aware also this is the second, yeah. So we continuing. So we need to set it and then make a decision at our next meeting. It is set for. I would think that the second meeting in January would give you enough time.
January 20th.
that would give us plenty of time, and we can continue to work with the appellant.
And we'll now get into the public hearings. Item number 5, public hearing called to hear arguments for or against the adoption of resolution number 08-174, entitled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Victorville finding and declaring that the public convenience and necessity justify and require the granting of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Jeff Searcy, DBA Platinum Care Non-Emergency Medical Transportation. Is there any pros or cons on adopting resolution number 08-174? Are there any proponents or opponents to the resolution? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And what is the wish?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 6, a public hearing called to hear arguments for or against approval of the mitigated negative declaration for the SCLA Northern Reclaimed Water Line. I'll open the public hearing and would ask for opponents or proponents of the project to come to the podium. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion passes. We have item number 7, and I'll open the public hearing to call to hear arguments for or against the notice of intent to adopt a notice of exception for the SCLA Gateway Waterline Project. Any proponents or opponents to the project? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion passes, and we have item number 8. A public hearing called to hear arguments for or against the introduction of ordinance number 2231, entitled An Ordinance of the City of Victorville, amending sections 10.04.010 and 10.04.085 of the City of Victorville Municipal Code pertaining to the sewer connections and maintenance of sewer laterals. I'll open up the public hearing on item 8. Any proponents or opponents? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Move for introduction of ordinance number 2231.
I need to include in that motion, if possible, the waiving of the reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion passes. The consent calendar, which next contains the items that are predetermined to be routine and non-controversial and adopted with one motion unless there is a request for removal. And we had a request to remove items O and Q. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Move for approval with the exception of O and Q.
I still have to abstain, Mike, because the minutes that are in there, I just decided I'd forego the.
That's right, I'm sorry.
Okay, we do have motion passes, and we do have item number 10, which is a request for an update on city audit by the accounting firm of Carporci and Larson. And I would ask our finance director, John Solomon, to address this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. As we know, the audit has experienced delays in being completed. We are in working very closely with Caparici and Larson. They've had staff in the office for the last 2 months. The delays are caused by a number of issues related to prior year financial statements and prior year things. Caparici and Larson are tomorrow putting together a schedule of projected completion dates, and we're looking to the month of January to have the audit for June 30/07 and June 30/08 completed. The process for that audit is that it will be presented in draft form and discussed at City Council prior to the time that it is made public. That's an update unless there are questions.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
Excuse me. Before we have it on the council agenda, is it possible to sit across the table from these auditors and take a look at it before it's brought to the council for approval? So if there are any questions to be asked, I'd like to ask some questions.
Yes, I think there will be a draft that will be presented prior to the time that it is a finished product, and then submitted to council in a formal environment and then made public. That is my understanding.
Will the auditors be available?
Yes, they will.
At the council meeting, or?
It will probably be, in all likelihood, be a closed session because it is a draft document, and there's maybe questions concerning this impact or that impact. So I'm sure that council members will see the information and will have an opportunity to ask questions prior to the time that the audit report is stamped final, finished, and released.
Or would be in closed session then?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman McCracken, you requested this item. Is there any other comment or question you may have?
No, I just wanted the opportunity to hear from the actual accounting firm as to the reasons it's taking so long. It's my understanding that they could not be at this council meeting tonight because they had other city council meetings that they were previously scheduled to be at. You know, it's just, I think it's in the interest of this council as well as the city of Victorville and all the citizens that we get this done as quickly as possible. It's 13 months overdue, and each day that goes by raises more questions from not only me sitting up here now, but from residents throughout the city of Victorville. So I think it's inherent that they get it done with haste.
Agreed.
I think that's been the general direction, to get it done as quickly as possible, because we're all anxious to get sure the document gets to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it, John? Ryan? We do have item number 11, the request to adopt resolution number 08-175 entitled "A Resolution of the City of Victorville hereby authorizing the Director of Development to apply for a waste tire cleanup grant." Questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion passed. Item number 12, request to authorize the conveyance of real property, APN 0396-192-44 to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency. Questions?
Second. Nope.
Motion passes. We have item 13, presentation of request for deferral of development impact fees from Saturn dealership. Keith, or will speak to this item? Yes, will you please approach the podium? Representative from Saturn, if you're here, please come to the podium.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it looks like the principals from Saturn is not here. But their request for a diff waiver, excuse me, was independent of staff's recommendations. Both myself and the Director of Development have been working extensively with the Saturn principals. Certainly they have had issues with respect to costs of construction. Of course, they've been trying to redesign to certain extents to help bring down costs. They've even been advised to try to rebid the construction of their facility. A little bit disappointed that they're not here representing themselves today, because I think the request clearly should come from them, as staff was relatively neutral with respect to the decision to waive diff. I should disclose to you, though, however, in your consideration, whatever that consideration might be, is that there are known facts with respect to Saturn as it relates to the GM, General Motors parent company. Amid all of the bailout discussion and all of the financial turmoil that's existing nationally, Saturn has been identified among the GM group of companies as one that they don't know what to do with. Clearly, in this week's Auto News, it was detailed specifically that they couldn't sell the Saturn division to any buyer. Saturn doesn't have any of its own manufacturing assets, so it really doesn't have any value to a prospective automaker trying to come into the auto business. It also clearly announced that it's taking away a lot of the financial resources GM would otherwise spend on product development, which is to basically mean in the future product development is going to be shortchanged substantially as it relates to Saturn, and most likely will be directed specifically towards supplementing expenditures towards GMC, Cadillac, Buick, and there's another one in there, Chevrolet. With that, another notable item, I think, in what I've read recently is the fact that they will continue to operate as Saturn. Interesting was that to close down the Saturn business model altogether has actually cost GM more than the losses it's currently experiencing running the operation. I guess with that, what I'm getting at is with respect to the Saturn project here locally, it hasn't been clearly communicated to myself what their exact plans are. I mean, they have gone ahead and actually started construction on the site. They've actually dug footings. They stopped at the footings and fell short of actually pouring foundations. Their financing has been through GMAC. In fact, they own the property. However, the property is backed by a construction loan from GMAC. Certainly, GMAC is being positioned to do different things. So I think altogether there's just a great level of uncertainty with respect to Saturn, the parent financing entity. With that, it might be appropriate to consider any action with respect to DIF as premature until some of the dust settles. I'll remain available for any questions or comments you might have.
Questions from council?
I don't have any questions, but at the appropriate time, I'd like to comment.
Question?
No, I don't.
The documentation that we provided does not give a total diff amount. Do we know what that is? Okay.
You did receive a proposal, correct? You did receive a written proposal for the deferral of the fees?
No. No, it was in discussions only. The only thing written was the letter that you received as a council.
Well, obviously we don't have the information we need to make a decision, but I would like to hear comments from Councilman Caldwell.
Well, as one member of the council, I generally am reluctant to consider waiver or deferral or reduction or cancellation of DIF fees just as a general proposition. But without the opportunity to have a better understanding of what their situation is and what do they mean by deferral and how much of a deferral, and what is their schedule and plans based upon all of the uncertainty. I could not in good conscience support it. I've read the same reports that you've mentioned, Mr. Metzler, and I think it goes beyond whether or not Saturn will continue. GMAC is the financing entity, and GMAC itself is on the verge of bankruptcy right along with General Motors. And if that happens, the delays inherent in Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings means that project could be tied up indefinitely. So, like you, I'm disappointed they're not here to help flesh this out somewhat. But as one member of the council, I would be very, very hesitant to embark upon a deferral for this Saturn dealership.
Any other comment? Would it be appropriate to, would the council like to reschedule this for some future, maybe get more information?
Why don't we just deny it without prejudice, and then if they want to bring it up, I'd move to deny without prejudice.
Second.
Okay.
Caldwell, I need
Everybody
a vote.
Okay, the motion passes. Item 14, it's request to ratify the expenditure plan for the SLESF. It's the Supplemental Law Enforcement Services Fund allocation for 2008-2009, and authorize the city manager or his designee to process all documents required for the program administration.
Move the motion.
Motion passes. Item 15, request for extra funding of $130,000 to an existing contract with Cooley Construction to pave an access to and from Calusa Road to the future IWWTP. Are there any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion passes. Item 16, the request to approve amendment number 2 to the design cooperative agreement between the City of Victorville and the State of California for the La Mesa Road, Nisqually Road, I-15 interchange improvements, district agreement number 8-1323, A2, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. Any questions?
So moved.
Second.
Motion passes. Item 17 is appointments to the City Advisory Committee by council members. I'll start with you, Terry.
I have no changes to make. I do note that my building appeals appointee, his position expired in 2006. I'm not sure that there has been a meeting of the Building Appeals Board in the memory of man. But I am diligently looking for someone to appoint to that committee that rarely, if ever, meets. All of my other appointees, I would reconfirm.
Mike?
Going to, for the Legislative Review Committee, appoint Jim Cox, replace Peggy Sarter, and for the Community Services Committee, is that the proper title?
Community Services Advisory.
I'm going to appoint Ashka Patel, and I have a resume here, and that one, replace.
Mayor, if I might come back,
Thank you, because
I'm looking at 17 and 18 as two different items. I did not intend in my comments to mean that I was reappointing newly elected Councilman McEachran to the Planning Commission to function in a dual capacity. But I read that Planning Commission to be item 18. That's the way I read it. Otherwise, why do we
Yes.
have two items?
That's the way I looked at it, yeah.
Item 18 is for appointments to the committees that city council members sit on, such as Sandbag, VVWRA, those. The item we're on now would be,
Oh.
you could take care of your
Well,
planning
then I'll go
commission
back.
appointments.
I'll go back, if I may, and indicate that my appointment to the Planning Commission will be an existing Planning Commissioner, Paula Porter, who was Councilman Hunter's appointee, and all other of my appointees, with the exception of Building Appeals, would
Stay the same. Okay. Mike, we went through yours.
Well, all of my understanding, I say it all, understanding that Ashka Patel will replace Mr. Heron in the Community Services, and Jim Cox will replace Peggy's Legislative Review Committee.
Right?
For my planning commissioner, I would like to appoint Bob Wilson. He's here tonight. Bob has been very involved in our local community. He co-founded Blue Star Properties, a business here in Victorville, with partner Ben Lamson, and he's volunteered as an ambassador for Sperry Chamber of Commerce from 1995 through the current. He served on the Adelanto Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, also as their president. He serves on the California Apartment Association Board of Directors and Apartment Association of Greater Inland Empire. He's quite involved and has a good head on his shoulders, and I think he'll do a good job. And the only other appointment I'd like to make at this time is to the Community Services Advisory Committee. Angela Vias, who currently is a member of the board for Victor Valley College Board of Trustees and very involved in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I think she'll do a good job on that committee. I hope that they'll meet a little bit more, Mr. Gargan, and and that there'll be opportunity for that committee to provide input on those things that the Community Services Advisory Committee does. At this time, I'm not ready to appoint anybody to the Legislative Review or the Building Appeals Board because I just don't really truly have a feel for when they will meet again. Maybe we can discuss that further later on, but those two committees, or commission and committees, I'd like to appoint those members to.
Very good. I will have mine on the meeting of the second meeting in January. I'll give you mine. Okay. We'll now go to item 19. And
Wait a minute, we're on 18, are we?
correction. Yeah, 18. Sorry. Item 18, and those are the BBWRA, the
Transit Authority, all the different boards that the council members sit on. And have the list available?
Well, let me just go over the appointments. And we have Joanne Allman. She's second alternate to the Victor Valley Economic Development Authority, delegate to the Victor Valley Transit Authority, constant liaison to the Community Services Advisory Committee, alternate to the San Bernardino County Flood Control Zone 4 Advisory Committee. Stay with those. Myself, I'm alternate to the Victor Valley Transit Authority, delegate to the San Bernardino County Flood Control District Zone 4 Advisory Committee, alternate to the San Bernardino Associate Government, liaison to the Old Town Property Owners Association, and delegate to the Victor Valley Wastewater Reclamation Authority. Mr. Cowell, delegate to the Mountain Desert Solid Waste Joint Powers Authority, delegate to the Mountain Desert Measure T Committee, delegate to the Solid Waste Task Force, delegate to the Victor Valley Economic Development Authority, chairman, California Clean Energy Resources Authority, Cal Clara. And what we do have, we had former council member Bob Hunter. He was a delegate to the Public Entities Risk Management Authority, and I don't know if we have anybody that wants to serve on that. Maybe Mr. Caldwell might. The public.
I think we should spread the wealth around.
Well,
Gabrielis.
Well, let me mention these here. Delegate to the Desert Mountain Division of the League of California Cities, delegate to the League of California Cities Committee on Public Safety, a board member, San Marino Cal ID, council liaison to the Building Appeals Board and the Legislative Review Committee for never meet. So I'd like to serve on that one. Victorville Public Development Corporation.
Well, Mayor Cabrielis, for those of us who have served in the military, we learned early on to never volunteer for anything.
Mayor Cabrielis, if I might, the last two that you mentioned for former Councilmember Hunter, the Cal ID and also the League of Cities Committee on Public Safety, those are not council appointments. Those were volunteer positions. Mr. Hunter was in. That's not something that would be appropriate for the council to appoint.
Okay. So then we're only left with the delegate to the Public Entities Risk Management Authority. Oh, yeah.
Oh, the risk management.
Yeah.
I did, and this, I'll do that one if you want to. I've been working with
Okay.
this. I'll go over to that one.
Okay, so that's,
Unless one of you want.
Ryan's learned quick. I think that's the one that kind of, needs to be filled. The other ones are.
Hey, Mike, you gave me sandbags, so that's enough, I tell you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I might one more time, the delegate to the Desert Mountain Division of the League of California Cities, although it's listed under Mr. Hunter, he had resigned from that, and there were no volunteers the last time it came before the council. I don't know if you want to address that at this meeting or not.
I think that's one of the ones that, was that the one that the volunteered?
There's actually two with the League of Cities. One is actually in the Public Safety Committee, which is a statewide policy committee. The first one listed there, Desert Mountain Division League, is our representative to the division, the league division, to attend quarterly meetings throughout the league division, which is most of San Bernardino County, as well as small parts of other counties.
Well, I think that's an important one, so we can keep involved with the League of Cities, and I don't know if Ryan might be interested.
I actually would. I'm going to their conference for new council members, but I think it would be important for us to be involved in that, and I will take that if
Very good.
You all so choose.
And we have another, the ad hoc water management. I think you're getting involved with that, aren't you, Ryan?
When is that?
The Water Management Committee.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing which one you're talking about.
On the second page, yeah. And then the only other one that Mr. Hunter had was board member for the California Clean Energy Resources Authority, and I think that was with Caldwell. Do you have any volunteers?
I'll stay with it.
That's essentially defunct at this point. I mean, I think it's still in existence, but that was the JPA that we had with San Marcos. I'm not sure if they're doing
You're
much
still
at this
on
point.
it?
I still want it.
Yeah. So do we need an alternate or just one? Okay. Okay. And Councilman Rocha, we have alternate to the Desert Mountain Division of the League of California Cities.
Yeah.
Okay. Alternate to the Public Entities Risk Management. Well, you're now
the delegate.
delegate. Delegate to the Mojave Desert Air Quality District, you're still on there. First alternate to the Victor Valley Economic Development Authority. Council liaison to the Traffic Advisory Committee, which I'm not sure.
Happy to do that one.
Okay. The Victorville Public Development Corporation. Alternate to the Mountain Desert Measure I Committee. And you're the delegate to, we just took action on the R2508 Joint Land Use Study.
Yeah, that's a kind of special area. And then, now, we did before, just for public reference today, was got not only the Sandbag Board seat,
Yeah.
but he's also the delegate for the Joint Powers East-West Corridor, the two-county consortium one that he'll be on as well.
I think we can print that out, and then we'll look at it again to make sure that it's everybody represented. Okay. Do we don't need to vote on that, do we, Andre?
Probably be appropriate to vote on it. Consensus of the council.
Could we do something, could we bring it back in written form and then give it to the
Then
council?
take
and we know
action.
what-
That'd be better.
Yeah.
exactly what we're voting on, okay? Okay, number 19, appointment of council members to Victorville Finance Ad Hoc Committee. And this is what I guess Ryan was interested in, getting a little bit more information on the audit. And this is part of what the Finance Ad Hoc Committee does. I know Terry and I were on it when he was the mayor. I would like to continue to be on that committee, but I would also like to have Brian, since he has a special interest, and it will get him involved in the finances of that he needs to be involved with. And I would like to appoint him, or have him appointed to the Finance Ad Hoc Committee.
Yeah, Carburelos, the only concern I have is that you, I believe, and Paul were previously met, so there has to be some concern as to whether or not you're going to be going over the same stuff or new stuff, so you don't have a Brown Act violation, because you've got two members having met with the auditors, from my understanding, informally. I don't know what was discussed. So I just
What's your recommendation?
raise that as an issue.
For legal?
Well, it depends on the scope of those meetings. If you've had discussions with those, and then you put another person on that committee and you form it as a formal committee, you may have Brown Act violation issues, because conceivably be three people having met with the auditors, which is a
Well, it would basically be the same information again that we, on the Terry and I.
If you're not building a consensus or anything like that, and it's just providing information and there's a limited scope, then it's probably okay. It's just, I don't know the subject matter of the prior discussions. As long as the future discussions are different and aren't covering the same material, then it'd be okay.
Well, it's a legal call. I don't know.
Well, Mayor Kipps, I think the appointment that you're suggesting is fine, but what is not clear to me is that before the audit issues came up and you and I were asked to meet with the auditor, there had been a discussion some months ago. I can't remember whether it was just John Roberts or John Roberts and John Sullivan, or perhaps others, Jeff Kinsel, who's been a financial, about the possibility or the desirability of creating a council ad hoc committee for purposes of monitoring and reviewing the city's investments, how we're handling bond proceeds and things like that. And so when I saw this agenda item, it was not clear to me whether this is on here to address the formation of an ad hoc or oversight committee unrelated to the auditors, or whether this is on here to address the Sarbanes-Oxley requirements under federal law, regard to specifically just the audit. I think that needs to be clarified so we know what it is that the two members of that committee are doing, and whether or not that dual function, if you will, can be merged or should be kept separate and apart. I I would tend to think that if if this agenda item is just focused on the audit, then perhaps we ought to have another agenda item where we deal with this suggestion of many months ago of having an ad hoc committee to monitor and provide oversight on the city's financial affairs, separate and apart from the audit, which is, have the audit and then it's done.
That's an ad hoc committee, so it's, once it's done, it's gone.
So for me, I think some clarification.
What I thought of, it was an ad hoc committee for the audit, and then once the audit is complete, then it's gone. So, this other one is a larger undertaking to do that, which I don't disagree. We should.
Well, perhaps we ought to continue it and get clarification from staff. Is there one committee, two committees?
I thought this was just a continuation for the audit. That would go in regard to the audit. This is the first I've heard about a separate ad hoc watching over investments and bond issues and things like that.
Well, I think
I've never heard of it before.
I think this is a requirement. I don't know. I'd like to hear from Solomon, because I believe, at least I was let to, understand that this is a requirement that we must have an ad hoc audit committee.
The role of the ad hoc committee in meeting with the auditors is to go over their recommendations, observations, and to discuss things prior to the release of the audit. Typically, CPA firms meet with a client or with a body where they make management recommendations for change. They discuss things that will possibly be in the audit and any other issues. It was felt it was more efficient to go through an ad hoc committee. To that end, we obtained information on the formation of an ad hoc committee, as well as what the state law provides and requires for a formation of an ad hoc committee. I think the document sets forth the 4 primary components as provided by the city attorney's office, and basically limited duration, focus, and once the matters are addressed for this year, then that committee is to be disbanded. The other one was that staff may not sit on that committee. So that was the formation of the ad hoc committee, which was discussed some months ago, a couple of months ago, and this is a
Perhaps
continuation
clear
of
up
that.
the question in my mind then by just calling it that. Call it an ad hoc audit committee as opposed to ad hoc finance committee.
And then we could do that here, and then it's clear that it is an ad hoc committee to review the audit, and that would be, instead of the finance, it would be audit. Would that satisfy the?
I believe it would. It's a name. I mean, the law really requires focuses on functioning, and again, limited duration, limited scope to deal with. For example, development of policies. Instead of coming to a council meeting or to go through things on processes and procedures and policy revisions, the ad hoc committee would deal with a broader scope, pre-review that prior to the time that it went to council.
Thank you.
Another relatively new item. I've been involved with almost a year now with the VMUS department, the Victorville Municipal Utility. I've done some traveling with Mr. Casanova and gotten quite an education over this thing. It's a rather complex area. I think we need a council member as a liaison to that. I've been more or less unofficially that, so I'm wondering if maybe we couldn't put on the list that a council member be designated as the liaison to the Victorville Municipal, working with the department head in that area and then coming back to the council on whatever ideas are coming out of that. So it's not in the list here. It's out of the blue, more or less, but
would that be like
putting
under?
some time into that, just
Yeah.
like your water committee or some of the others.
Would it be like under item 18?
Yes.
For those?
Yeah. Appointment. Yeah.
Do we have to-
no, it would be under the. Well, I don't know what is.
Probably better to put on item 18.
18. Okay, 18.
But that needs to come back then, yeah.
Yeah, you already have 18 coming back for confirmation, so I think you could add that as one of the potential
Okay.
for your final action. You haven't taken final action on 18.
Okay, we're back to the appointment to the Victorville Audit Ad Hoc Committee. And again, I would like to be on that committee, and I would also like Ryan to.
I'll second your motion.
Second?
You make it.
Okay. Yeah, the motion.
Mr. Mayor, as a point of clarification on the appointment to the Planning Commission, I know we're having that come back. Well, that was item 17. Did we formally move that? We did? Okay, because
That was formally moved.
Okay, my apologies. I wasn't sure if we did that one or not.
Okay, that ends the regular items. We now go into council reports, and we'll start with
None?
none.
None.
None. Okay, we'll now go into closed session, and I'll have our city attorney.
The closed session items are fully agendized. To the extent there's any reportable action, we will come back at the end of the closed sessions and report any formal actions that are taken, any direction given to city staff with respect thereto. Okay, we have two reportable items. The first is that we are going to enter into an agreement with Victorville Motors to provide for a $200,000 line of credit transaction, structured probably in the form of an amendment to a secured line of credit. Next item is the council authorized finalizing transactions lateral easements and temporary construction easements. The lateral easements are APN number 0465. Trust the amount purchase price $94,090. Second one is owned by Desert Wind. It is parcel 8. Price is $30,579. The third one is Desert Wind for parcel number 0468. Temporary construction easement is Camp and Julia Second Family Trust, parcel number 0460. Session items.
Thank you.